Welcome back to Sports Federation TV. My name's Elton Davids. We continue the showcase of different codes of sport brought to you by the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation. Our guest in studio right now is a Mr. Josh Cassius Cloete. Are you well, sir?
Elton, I'm very good. Thanks for having us.
You're most welcome. Kickboxing, let's start at the top, is a sport where people use their hands and feet and hurt each other. Is that how you would describe your sport, Josh?
Actually, I would describe my sport as a sport that enhances discipline, confidence, perseverance, character building, whereby we compete to outpoint your opponent by means of your hands and your feet.
I like the way you put it. Very different, because that is the perception out there. The kickboxing is a violent sport using my hands and feet to hurt somebody. And that's why I used that analogy, and that's why I gave that description. Because I wanted the correct description. So people understand that kickboxing is a sport which teaches people life skills.
Absolutely. Look, there's a much deeper, fundamental, philosophical thought within the sports of kickboxing. Hence, like most martial arts operate like that. And many times people that doesn't understand the insight of the sports would portray the sports as barbaric, hardcore, and obviously because most of them haven't even practiced the sports.
You're the president of Western Cape Kickboxing. How big is kickboxing in the Western Cape, Josh?
I think kickboxing in the Western Cape is probably one of the most growing martial arts sports within the Western Cape. We are represented in 5 of the 6 districts within the Western Cape.
Nice.
And all of those districts are in alignment and with the district sports council.
A little birdie told me that you had a meeting this last couple of weeks with all the districts, all 5 of them. Give us a bit of a helicopter view of what happened in that meeting.
I think what we came to a point in the Western Cape kickboxing whereby we need to streamline kickboxing, whereby we want all the districts to operate in the same manner, and hence we have called 2 weeks ago a Western Cape kickboxing in Daba, where we sit down and all the district presidents had an opportunity to have a say in terms of the way forward. And it was a marathon in Daba, I must say, but when we were finished, we all agreed on what the way forward needs to be. And that was nice about it. There was no unnecessary opposition within the meeting.
Do you find that each district, or previously, before you're in Daba, that each district operated in its own silo and had their own set of rules and understanding versus the big picture of Western Cape and ultimately SA Kickboxing?
I would not necessarily say they operated in their own silo, but what happened is that when you don't keep tabs on things filtered through the mat. And yes, I think some of the districts have lost plot in terms of criteria for events, in terms of criteria, in terms of your competition attire and competition rules and referees and judges, how they should look and be dressed up. So many of them have lost kind of plot in terms of that, because of I would assume familiarity. So we kind of address those things and say, guys, it's time to come back to the basics. Let's do things the way we used to do it 20 years ago.
Yeah. So taking that, I know from when I've been to watch some of your competitions, there's proper protective gear. Explain the protective gear in a helicopter view so people understand what you need and when you need it. Because you can get seriously injured if you come into a bout with someone who's not properly protected.
Yeah, indeed. And that is what kickboxing is all about. It's a sport code that provides the opportunity to engage physically with your opponent, and the idea is never to hurt the opponent, especially from an amateur perspective. Hence, we have a head guard which will protect the facial part, mouth guard to protect your teeth and your lips and gums, and then we have your groin guard that obviously protect the groin area, and the shin guards protecting the shins prevent any unnecessary breakage of the bone, and boots, foodies that protect the foot, because I mean there's a lot of bones, small bones within the foot area. So those are all the protective gear that we have within the sport.
Where are competitions held, and when are these matches taking place?
I must say is that this year for the 2020 Western Cape calendar, which is a compilation calendar of all the districts, we sit with close to 36 events throughout the year. In fact, we just had an event last month, and which was the 15th of February. The first event was the 24th of January, which was in Eden, and then Cape Town. And now we have another event at the end of the month, the Battle of the Karoo, that will take place in George. So the districts are really coming up. 2 weeks ago, there was an event in Cape Winelands. So all the districts are now getting together and getting into gear and roll out the events. And of course, our big event that we are looking at now is the Western Cape Championships, which will be the 7th of March, taking place in Mossel Bay.
Nice.
So we are really pushing even our smaller districts to come forward and do things. And the Western Cape is obviously providing a supporting role in terms of assisting wherever we need to do, even with trophies and engaging with DKS for any other kind of assistance as well.
You talk about the Western Cape Champs on the 7th of March. How big do you anticipate the participants to be in terms of numbers? I mean, is Cape Town the biggest, and would Cape Town send 20 athletes? Would West Coast send 10?
Yes.
Some idea?
Vibrant Sports has just had an event, a kickboxing event, in last month, and there were about 70 participants.
70
participants in that event. So it was a day event, so it was relatively well attended, which gives you indication of athletes within the Cape District area. So the Western Cape Championships is a event that must be attended by the districts. So the athletes that the districts are taking to national championships must compete in the Western Cape Championships. So average per district, you get between 40, 50 athletes.
Wow.
That will be at the event.
That's
and here
huge.
we're talking about 5 districts. So it will be I was informed by the development officer of the Western Cape that 2020 will probably be the biggest Western Cape Champs in its existence.
In terms of what else is happening in South Africa, give us one or two snippets of anything exciting that's coming up.
This coming week, one of our athletes, which come from the West Coast, who's now in Cape Town, who turned professional, Gregory Gans, he's competing for a world kickboxing title in Pretoria. Other athletes such as Spark van Wyk is also competing there. We have other 5 athletes who's also competing in the daytime event. But those guys are now the big boys who's competing on the main event. So it's going to be quite interesting to see if Cape Town is coming back with the world champion. And then that will be a nice lift for kickboxing in Cape Town specifically. So we're very excited about it, and SA Kickboxing is supporting it, especially the world body that we are willing to work with. His opponent is competing a fighter from Belgium. So we're looking really forward to this, and we're positive that we will bring that title back to Cape Town.
So in 2 weeks' time, Gregory will be sitting here with that trophy.
Indeed.
That's the deal?
Not a trophy, title belt.
The title belt.
Yeah.
Different sports have different rules. The title belt.
Well, you know, it's kickboxing. It's a championships. It's a ring sport. If you're a champion, you are bestowed with a belt, with a title belt, and that's a different. You know, the amateurs are still competing for trophies, but you know, if you go professional and you win your title, it's a title belt, championships belt.
Josh, give him our best, and tell him we're waiting to see him in 2 weeks' time with that title belt.
Elton, thank you for having us, and yeah, thanks for the challenge.
we there, we lay down the gauntlet. Western Cape always comes out tops.
Absolutely, that's why we're here.
That's it. Thanks, Josh.
Fantastic, thank you.
Let's take an ad break. We'll see you now.